So, but anyways, I'm just saying, if we try to split up humanity into subsets as though they're different species, because that's what the woman in Michigan's trying to do, you know? Now, I understand when you put a donkey with a horse, you get a mule, and that mule is neutered, right? But nature itself tells us there is nothing in nature that keeps any human from any other human.
Exactly. Well, except for physical barriers.
I'm going to say this. Okay,
technology.
This is my shock jock in me. I'm going to say this. My kids asked me, he said, Dad, because I'm trying to teach them the Bible, I'm trying to teach them morality and stuff, and they said, Dad, is mixed nationality marriage, mixed racial marriage, is it wrong? And I said, yes, it is wrong. I said, the scriptures call us as Christians a set-aside people, a holy nation, a peculiar people. For a Christian to marry a non-Christian would be a mixed marriage. And I said, if you are a believer, you are commanded in your faith, your creed, to marry your like kind, another Christian. So
that is a good theology.
Now that you've taken your jaw off the ground,
David Stern, you've taken us from race to a belief system, which is
I am, but
you're not born into a belief system.
What's interesting is that we got there, but this Jean Kramer brought up the Bible. She thinks that the Bible teaches that you're not to marry outside of your racial kind. Yeah. And she said Adam and Eve were the same. She forgot about Moses and the Ethiopian and others and Solomon and his wives from around
that took him away from God.
But
yes, he was monogamous with every one of those wives.
But my point
is actually that's another concept for another day.
But my point is, when we're discrediting Mrs. Kramer here, we also have to understand that there are people who have deeply held convictions that are not hate-based. They're not ignorance-based. They are faith-based.
Sure.
You know? And they have every right to practice their faith as it pertains to their life.
And as so long as that they are not violating the rights of others in the practice of it.
The just laws are deprived from the government's duty to protect us from the injuries of others. That's Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's an amazing thing because it's so disingenuous, like most of the things the left does. They're just for political power. You're pushing this whole diversity thing. Well, biodiversity is a thing that naturally exists in equilibrium. We don't need the left, just like we don't need people curating the Amazon. It's going to get along with or without you.
Or
our
national
curating diversity.
Right.
It's up to you in your own prerogative whether you want to have mixed race society or not, or mixed race company or not. I mean, that's totally up to the individual, and it's ridiculous, I think, for people to really try to curate that and play I guess farm master or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
I saw that movie.
My youngest brother is openly homosexual, and he married another man according to what they call Minnesota marriage. It's a covenant. I did not honor it as a marriage from my faith perspective, because my faith informs me what marriage is as a sacrament. But I do honor it as a covenant. Now, why do I do that? Because if you look in the Bible, Jonathan and David were two very close people who entered into a covenant. No, I'm not saying they were gay.
Yeah, no.
But they had a right. Yeah, they both had wives, right?
Cover.
But
like they get you out of it.
But here's the thing: we're talking human rights here. A human has an opportunity and a right to enter into whatever covenants they want.
Of course.
Okay, and that's between them.
Sure.
Just as now, after Jonathan died, it was many years later, David, all of a sudden, it was brought to his attention, Jonathan had a descendant named Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth, he had him come live in the palace and eat with him. He still honored that covenant to the generations that followed.
Right.
So that tells me I have to honor covenants just as a right of man. Okay?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I have to honor it as a sacrament. And that's why I believe we should get government out of the whole
business.
thing. To call them covenants whatever you want, because covenant's already a legal term,
Yeah.
and just give that
Yeah.
term marriage back to the churches and the faiths and the synagogues.
Marriage
and the-
predates government
Yeah,
and
yeah.
is a religious issue.
Another
not a
plug.
government issue.
Todd Russ, the Marriage Freedom Bill, next session legislature, pass that thing out of committee. Yeah, that restores it. It makes it to where a couple can just go file their marriage with their affidavit at the court clerk's office. You don't even need an officiant for it. It's a right of man.
We all fall short of the glory of God. If homosexuality is a sin, so is gluttony, so is
Yeah.
adultery, so is
Sure.
lying. Everybody falls somewhere on the spectrum of imperfection.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to disallow other sinners from going to church or enjoying their freedom simply because they're also a
But
sinner.
you know what? It's so much funner to judge you than to judge myself.
So much easier to judge me.
Something about specs and poles.
I know.
Is this also racial?
Well, I want to judge your actions, but I want to judge my intentions.
That sounds only fair.
So, anyway.
Anything else to close out, guys? What else you got? Anything?
No.
I think that's it. I'm Tom
What do we got
McKay.
coming up? Labor Day? Is
Labor
it
Day
time
weekend.
to honor what work has done for our society?
Tommy.
Thank your parents for teaching you a good work ethic. Teach your kids the good work ethic. Be safe this weekend.
Thank you, comrade.
Tom McKay here with all three Davids. David Van, David Oldham, David D'Ambroso. We'll see you again next week.
Good night.
All right.